Hello, and welcome to another episode of Carnivore Evolution. Today, our guest is Dave Mack, a well known carnivore, shall we say, advocate or influencer. And our co host tonight is Tony Stewart, direct from Canada. Hi, Tony. Hello, Dave. Welcome.
How you doing? Really good to see you and be on with you.
Uh-oh.
I just, yes.
Someone.
Uh, well, we'd love to hear some of your background story. We know you're carnivore, and you
Hmm.
certainly have represented that well. So give us, please, a little background for the audience to find out more about you.
Sure. I've it's been about 3.5 years carnivore now, but it all started. I was trying to control an alcohol problem, or get an alcohol problem under control, and also deal with prediabetes. And to do that, I was doing keto. And now that I was doing keto, I was incorporating a small amount of non-starchy veggies with each meal. And this was kind of new for me because prior to going keto this time, my diet had been pretty much strictly ultra processed. It was based on basic alcohol and sugar, basically, apart from breakfast. I was eating eggs at breakfast time, but other than that, ultra processed. And now that I was incorporating the small amount of non-starchy veggies into every meal, I discovered something. I discovered that indeed plants were trying to kill me. And these assassination attempts by the plants would result in me being in the bathroom pretty much straight after every meal. And obviously, I didn't like this. And initially, I thought, okay, well, this is because I'm doing a lot more meat now than I was before. Maybe, all the bowel cancer things they're talking about, this is the start of it. It's all about to happen and come crashing down. And I started doing a bit of research on this, and I came across a video by Ken Berry. And the video basically singled out some vegetables that I was eating and said, these are gastrointestinal irritants. And I went, oh, okay. And I thought, well, there's people talking about carnivore. Maybe this is a thing I can do. Keto's worked for me in the past. Maybe the next level up is carnivore. And I'm not married to the veggies. So let's get rid of the veggies and see what happens. And got rid of the veggies. Keto became carnivore. Gastrointestinal problems stopped, and the rest is history.
I had a question. Like I was just mentioning to Dave that I've been following him for years and watched his evolution kind of go on his channel. And I know that that's what we wanted to kind of get into, is how your channel developed into probably being one of the front runners of hearing people's stories and their carnivore journeys, which is, in my opinion, so important to hear these. So how was that transition for you? Like you mentioned keto to carnivore, but your channel actually changing from your basically focused around you to other people, and your style is bang on, and it's been great years.
That's definitely a question I had too, how you made that transition.
Yeah, so basically what happened is like June of 22 is when I moved to carnivore. And between June and October of 22, I was listening to interviews on Dr. Baker, interviews on, don't know if you remember Joey Schwartz from Carnivore Camaraderie.
Yeah. Yes.
Interviews from on Bart K's channel, listening to Bart K reactions and, getting the chuckle out of those, and, all these kind of things. And I was really feeling like it's great that there's people getting the word out there about this more and more, but as I moved forward towards October, I realized that a lot of things were improving that I hadn't expected to improve. And I had all the regular things like my sleep improved, my energy improved, all that kind of thing. But I started to notice things that were unexpected. Muscle coming on much more than I'd ever experienced before, with doing nothing, like my exercise is walking to the train station and then walking to work each day. I'm not in the gym trying to put muscle on, but this muscle was just coming on, and my stomach flattening out. And I've as long as I've been an adult, I've never had a flat stomach. I can't. Maybe when I was about 14 years old, I had a flat stomach. That's the last time I remember it. And these kind of things happening, and then the arthritis went away in my left knee, and this was massive for me because this had been following me around for 2-3 years, and it was like this dark cloud. And as I say, I walked to the station and whatever. So in Japan, you walk everywhere, and it's just constantly walking, constantly up and down stairs all the time. And it was just so painful. And and regarding the stairs, if there's something that a person with arthritis in the knee hates more than walking, it's climbing. And suddenly that just went away.
Wow.
And like that was about 2 months in, so that would have been probably like late August. And it was shocking for me that this just disappeared. Something that had just been there for 2 years, and I just accepted, well, this is part of getting old. And then the next thing I noticed was I had this limp on my right side, and I still do, but it started to improve. Now, this limp is from a stroke that I had when I was 17.
Wow.
And basically, following the stroke, I've had palsy down the right-hand side of my body. Like the right eye droops more than is more droopy. This side of my head doesn't have as much expression. Weaker right side. I limp with my right leg, that kind of thing. And what I noticed is around the same time as the arthritis going away, the right side of my body seemed to get more kind of coordinated, more balanced, more strength returning. And so it was just this, like, I've gone from walking I had problems on both sides of my body. I've gone from struggling to walk everywhere to just like being coordinated and again, it's never going to be perfect on my right side, but feeling like I've got some coordination for the first time in at that point, it would have been 28 years post stroke, 27,
Wow.
28 years. And so all these things had improved. And so I get to about October and I'm starting to even though I'm enjoying all the carnivore content, I'm really happy with what's happening. I'm really good, feeling really good. I'm starting to get angry because I'm thinking I'm almost 50 at this point, and our whole lives we've been fed this garbage. And I've been on and off keto all my life, right? To over 2 decades. And I always felt better when I was on keto, but I always had this kind of I'm not doing it right. I know my body feels right, but everyone's telling me that I'm doing this wrong. Everyone's telling me I'm going to die. It's the media, or it's the ex-nutritionist that I worked with, and everyone's telling me you need bread, you need your pasta, glucose is fueling your brain, all this kind of thing. And so all this is coming back to me, and I'm just feeling angry about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and put my voice out there. So I created a YouTube channel, made a few videos, and I was like, I'm just going to talk about my experience. And so that's how the channel started. But then what kind of got me into doing the interviews was I'm in Japan and I'm pretty isolated. I know about 3 other people in the whole of Japan that are doing carnivore. And one of them may have already left Japan. And so it's pretty lonely here. It's lonely doing carnivore anyway, but especially when you're in Japan. And so I wanted to kind of network more with other carnivores, right? And so I managed to get myself invited on some of Bart K's live streams, and I started chatting with the other carnivores, and some of the carnivores said, well, I can come on your channel and do an interview or something. And I thought, well, this is a really cool way to start networking with carnivores and that kind of thing. So really it just started as more of a networking thing. And I realized after I started interviewing people that I liked listening to their stories. And it's just kind of grown from there.
Wow. Well, it's wonderful. How many total people have you? I'm sorry, Tony.
No. Go.
How many total people have you interviewed?
I don't have an exact count of the number of people because some people have been on more than once. There's about as of today, there's about 1,456 interviews. And of that, there's probably about 1,300 unique people.
Well, yeah, I remember when I think you interviewed me, and you were just getting to 1,000.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
It's kind of crazy. I made a video the other day of that the start of the video had some footage of me on stage a year ago this month, with the pictures of everyone I'd interviewed on the screen behind me. And when I look at that picture now, it looks sparse compared to what the picture looks like at the moment, because it's like double the amount of people that are on there.
Yeah, that's okay. Dave, how do you feel about what frustrates me? And you mentioned the isolation. Like, there are so many stories now that you've heard, and you're trying to get this message out. How frustrating is it to see people that don't listen, that just refuse to say, well, give it a try. When you say give it a try, and you're like, I have a catalog of this many success stories, it's obviously not luck.
Well, I think so. There's different categories of people that are not listening.
Yeah.
Right. So I think the first one is the people that are just not primed to listen at all, which are like, it would be young people who've got no health problems. Like when I was 20, you can go out drinking all night. You can wake up, you can have pot noodles and a can of Coke, go to work, and you'll feel fine, right? You'll be recovered by 10 a.m. and you'll be like firing on all cylinders. These people are never going to listen to carnivore is a better way of eating, because they're like, the way I'm eating now, I can eat whatever I want and I feel amazing. Stop trying to give me your stupid boomer advice and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
From that age group, the people that might be likely to listen are the people that are interested in like weight training and all that kind of thing, and might realize that if they eat a lot of meat, they're going to get better gains, things like that. But those people are probably few and far between. Those people don't really frustrate me so much, Then you've got another group of people who are, they're getting older, like myself. They're starting to get, sicknesses that are diet related, like type 2 diabetes, that kind of thing. They might not listen, and it's not necessarily, it's more just because they've been brainwashed.
Yeah.
And, you just have to kind of say, well, it's either going to go two ways. They're going to just continue on the path they're on, or at some point they're going to go, you know what? Nothing the doctor is telling me is working. I'm never feeling better. And then they're going to come around,
Yeah,
but I mean, you can't force it, right? The people that really frustrate me, though, the people that I have, like, for the majority of my life, I've respected. And that's people in the medical profession and the experts. And they frustrate me not because they perpetuate the narrative. They frustrate me because they refuse to even entertain nuance. They refuse to entertain any context in any discussion if it goes against what they learned, right? And it's almost like I paid a lot of money for this degree. How dare you ask questions of me, you know? That's the people that irritate me.
That's unfortunate. It's true. Have you ever interviewed someone who was a carnivore who regretted the decision to become a carnivore?
That would stand out. So I guess no.
Like a Paul Saladino who decided, oh, carbs are for me now.
I've had people, I mean, I've had people that have interviewed with me, done really well on carnivore, and then they've started to add things back. But it's not it's not even been as extreme as Paul Saladino. It's been more like, you know, I was losing a bit too much weight and I just wanted to see if I tried putting something in. Actually, I spoke to someone earlier today that had a similar story to this. I wanted to try putting some stuff back in just to see how my body reacted. My weight kind of stabilized a bit and I wasn't suffering ill effects, so I kept some of those things in. But usually those people are at a point where they understand, okay, I can control what I'm doing now. I'm at the point where I can control this and I can feel when this is having a negative effect on my body or whatever, or when it negatively affects my sleep, or, you know, the arthritis comes back or whatever. So they understand that they're kind of walking a tightrope and they can't go too far the other way, you know.
Yeah, and then there's a big difference. I mean, you must hear it all the time, like the difference between tolerable and optimal. If you can kind of understand that, that's a very big, you know. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
If I have to ask, like, is there one interview that stands out that was like mind blowing? Like, oh my Lord, this is, you know, ready to change the world kind of interview.
So it's hard to kind of pin down particular interviews because there's lots of different things that have been life-changing for people, and there's a lot of interviews that I've cried along with the guest, and maybe the guest hasn't been crying and I have cried, kind of thing. You know, they're keeping it together better than me. But I think the general themes that kind of stick out that are most memorable for me are, number one, it's people able to reverse or minimize the effects of MS.
Yeah.
Because like growing up for the last, I'm 50 now, soon to be 51. I'm almost 51 now. And for about 48 years of my life, MS was just this nebulous thing. Like people got it, they deteriorated, and that's their life, you know? I never thought it's something that you could control, let alone reverse. And so having heard so many stories of people being able to reverse it has been a big thing. You know, I've got a playlist with more than 20 interviews of this, right? The other thing is people improving their vision. I've got one gentleman that was legally blind. That's right. Sean Scott. I've had him on a number of times, like people reversing glaucoma and, you know, just things improving like that. I mean, and you can have type 2 diabetes and it's not a good thing, but you've still got all your senses, you know, So you can still see, you can still read, you can still talk, and all this kind of thing, right? But someone takes your vision away. That's so the fact that it can improve that is such a big thing. And this is not to minimize the improvements people have with type 2 diabetes at all, but that actually is something that bears mentioning. Is there's so many people that reverse type 2 diabetes when they do carnivore that it risks becoming something that we go, oh, you reverse type 2 diabetes. Oh, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, just, come on. What else did you do? Huh?
I reversed diabetes, and I've been there. I know, like, now it's just like, wow.
Yeah. It's like we shouldn't allow any of these things to become run of the mill, because especially something like type 2 diabetes, right? Like apparently there is no cure. Once you've got it, you're stuck with it, right? Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah.
And all the experts will tell you it's not reversed, it's just in remission. The same as that broken leg you get from standing in the highway is just in remission until you go back in the highway again, Yeah. It's like it just all the narratives make no sense, but yeah, it's important that like type 2 diabetes is just it's something that's destroying the world.
Absolutely.
And there is a solution. It's just not very profitable.
Yeah, exactly true.
And even when you look at there's I can't remember who said this, or it was a doctor in the medical systems, like basically relating heart disease to a lot of type 2 diabetes undiagnosed, which that combines them. Look at that problem, and it's like huge. And,
yeah, I've seen that in my own family. Yeah, they just ignore the symptoms. They're fine. They don't want to know.
Right.
It's unfortunate. Do you have people that come to you for advice, Dave? And how do you deal with that? Do you have a certain set of people that you refer them to, or do you actually counsel from your own experience?
So basically, I don't offer any advice because I'm not qualified in any way to do that. Basically, what I do is if people come to me and ask about a particular condition, I will send them links to all the videos that I've got with guests talking about reversing or making better that condition or controlling that condition. If they ask about something that I have personal experience with, then I'll share my personal experience as well. But otherwise, I don't give advice because I've got no qualification to do that.
No, fair enough. That's some great references. And I mean, I often, what you're doing, Dave, and Victoria, and we are doing, it's that you can see real people healing, and that's so powerful. Sending somebody to a specialist or sending somebody to somebody that's walked in their shoes and done something has got to be pretty powerful. And that's great.
That personal testimonial too. Yeah.
Yeah, it is quite a nice feeling when someone sends you an email and they ask about like some kind of condition you've never heard of before, and like they tell you it's like 1 in a million people get this or something, and you think, well, I'll just do a transcript search and see if I can find a guest who's had this, and a couple of videos pop up, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll send that to them. And it's like, because if it's a rare condition, often people have started to lose hope about things, and if they can actually listen to some guests who've gone through the same thing, that's kind of a nice feeling.
For sure.
I noticed that you joined the Facebook group that I started 6 years ago. You joined a month or so ago. It's the Carnivore Diet After Age 40 on Facebook. And you just sort of popped up one day, and I said, well, that's nice to have Dave back. I wondered, where do you spend your time when you're looking for information on social media? What grabs your attention, and do you frequent certain influencers on a regular basis?
social media wise, I don't really spend all that much time on social media as far as researching and that kind of thing outside of YouTube. Um, I'm scared of Instagram. I think it's an age thing or something, or
Yeah,
an age thing.
I
I'm always
completely.
like, oh, if I touch this, what's going to happen? Am I going to send this video to a million?
I feel that way about TikTok.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So like I'm kind of an old fashioned social media person. Like Facebook and X are more my thing. But I'm basically either sharing videos that are just my interviews or reposting videos from other people or something like that. But outside of that, like I'll watch YouTube, like watch videos by Bart Kay, Ken Berry, Anthony Chafee, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the doctors, the big name doctors.
Mm. Mm.
We like
How
that too.
Dave, how do you feel about what's sort of going on in the carnivore space right now with all the people jumping ship, sort of, so to speak, eating carbs and saying it's okay?
Um, I it feels a little bit weird to me the way it's happened, because it was a lot of people all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't something that just like it's an organic kind of people go carnivore and then over time they all just drop off kind of thing. It's like it all just happened at once. So it just feels a bit weird to me. But I mean, my feelings about it are always the same. You know, like if it works for you, do it. But like just be listening to your own body, you know, and that's what I didn't do from I mean, when was the first time I did Atkins? It would have been 2001. So from 2001 onwards, I should have been listening to my body. And every time I went on Atkins or went on keto and basically stayed pretty much zero carb at the time, because I'm lazy and I never really liked vegetables much anyway, you know. And felt so good and just allowed myself to be talked out of it, you know. So
Yeah.
if someone's adding in whatever it is, sweet potatoes, or they're adding in some nuts, or they're and it's working for them, maybe they had, I don't know, insomnia or something, and when they added sweet potatoes, they're sleeping better or something. If that works for them, great. But I'm not sure that every carnivore out there should suddenly be going, that means it doesn't work, I'm getting off
Yeah.
because that plays into the kind of the medical quote unquote
Yeah.
experts narrative, which is you see when you go on carnivore,
We told you so.
yeah, I knew this was going to happen. You can't lie, you know. And the one person who suffers a stroke or a heart attack, and then suddenly it's carnivore's fault. They're on
Yeah.
carnivore for 2 months, and look what happened to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that. So we could say that about any diet, you know. But we know better. We know that heart attacks don't happen after 2 months on a diet, or on, you know, someone doesn't go vegan and have a heart attack after 2 months.
No doubt. No kidding. No kidding. Yeah, it seems like we've talked to a few people that's something that's been popping up. It's like it's really fishy how it just sort of really kind of changed at a turning point, and it's just been it's interesting. I just wanted to get your take because you talk to a lot of carnivores, and it's interesting to see how this world works in that respect.
I don't know if they're totally convinced that they need to consume a great deal of carbs. I went snooping around at one particular doctor's new setup where that person talked about the diet that they are proposing now, which is really a keto diet. It was basically keto, and the carbs were presented through vegetables, not necessarily through starches and pasta and that kind of thing, and maybe a little sweet potato. So I think that it may be more of a publicity thing for some of them, to say, oh, we allow carbs now, or this is my new regime. We can have carbs now. I don't see it happening on a blanket basis that is across the board. Oh, all carbs all the time. They're still guarded about it. So
Yeah, and I agree. And look, I think you've always got to consider an element of, you know, and I'm not accusing anyone of this, but you've got to also consider the element of the keto space is much bigger than the carnivore space, right?
yes,
Like if you want to make
Yes.
if you want to make some money out of this, right? The carnivore space is a pretty small audience,
yeah,
right?
yes, follow the money. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I started making videos, and I had the first one, the one that went most viral, go viral, and I had a lot of people commenting that, yeah, it's all very nice, you got a viral video, but you're in the carnivore space. What are you going to say? The same thing all the time? And it's like, well, I'm not really doing this. Like, if I was in this for the money, I would have abandoned it a long time ago.
So yeah, I'd love to ask you that too. Like, how's the comments as far as you get some? Obviously there's people out there that have nothing better to do than command their keyboard in the wrong direction, but you must see some interesting comments.
Yeah, I think there actually is less hate now than there was 2 years ago.
I hear you. Yeah. Sure.
Actually, I tell a lie. What it is if you have a video that goes quite viral, that's when you start getting hate comments. Yeah. Because basically what happens, the way YouTube works, is when you put a video out, it tests it with your audience. And if it outperforms other videos that you've put up in the last, I don't know, month, 6 months, whatever, then YouTube goes, oh, this one's performing better. It's getting a higher click-through rate and more view time. His audience likes this. So what I'm going to do is start looking at what other channels his audience watches and then push it out to newer audiences, right? Mm-hmm. And then if it clicks more, then it starts to push it out to more and more audiences. And the more and more audiences it pushes the video out to, the more likely it's going to be that you're going to catch, vegans,
yeah,
doctors that don't like to consider anything outside of a textbook, yes. That kind of thing. And that's where you start getting the hate, So fortunately, I don't have that many videos that go viral. So I don't get so many of those comments anymore.
Well, speaking of that, Dave, you've got a very specific style of interview. Like, did you was that calculated and a specific way of doing it, or did you just happen to come on it organically?
It's kind of a bit of both. If I look back to some of the initial interviews that I did, it was really quite rough. I had all my questions prepared and I was like firing the questions at the person, and the person would maybe not give me such elaborative answers, and then I just move on to the next question, and it's pretty rough. And so from that perspective, I started to think, how can I better facilitate this? And I'm a trainer or a facilitator by trade. And so one of my main job roles is to get people to talk. Mm-hmm. And so it was like, well, can I just transfer my job skills into this? And the best way to get people to talk is to not talk. And so basically I started setting up with my guests at the beginning, look, people don't want to hear me flapping my gums, right? There's 100 other videos they can watch if they want to do that, right? So I'm going to just take a back seat and I'm going to allow you to share your story. And of course, if the person is not so much of a talker and whatever, I'm not doing these live, so I can help prompt them a little bit. Like I can cut those bits out. There's no need to leave them in there for any particular reason. But the other thing that I found, though, is that the more I talk at the beginning of an interview, the more the audience is going to switch off, right? Because they aren't watching an interview to hear the host bang on about stuff,
Yes.
And I've done that myself. Like I used to watch, there's a self-improvement kind of guy, a podcaster in the UK called Ali Abidal or something. I used to watch him and think his stuff was kind of interesting. And then I watched him do some interviews and he will not shut up. And I was like, I can't watch this anymore because he asks a question and he won't let the person answer the question. And I thought, I don't want to be like that. And so it's like, it's better to be a facilitator, I think, and let people talk.
Well, yeah,
it's kind of hard to do that, though, to do it artfully. And I think you do it artfully.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It can be uncomfortable at times, but that's like when when you've got a room full of 100 people and you're in a training room and you ask a question and everyone looks at you like you've just handed them a dead baby or something. It's like, guys, just give me an answer to the question. And the next step is just to kind of not talk. And then it just becomes a test of, well, who's going to talk first, And it's like, it's just being able to say, well, the reason we're here is to get them to answer the question. The reason we're here is to get them to give the information. So it's just like, yeah. So I think because of my job, I've been very practiced at kind of not talking. So
yeah, but it is kind of ironic that you are, I want to use the word iconic, in the carnivore community. Everyone knows you, knows about you, and admires you for what
thank
you've
you.
done.
Thank you.
So yeah, I think you've done a fine job of it.
Totally. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's been awesome to watch your sort of evolution of your carnivore evolution, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, when I made those first few videos, because I was angry back in October 2022, I could never have imagined that, 3 years later, I'd be getting close to 1,500 interviews. It's just, it's just insane.
No, it's wonderful though, because we really need to get the message out there.
Yeah,
I think that's foremost in my mind doing these interviews.
Yeah, I think the important thing about, like, there's so many of us talking about this, and I think it's really important that we all continue to do that, because it's not one of these things you can easily, it's not something where you can use a push form of persuasion on people. Like, come on, just try it. Come on. It's good for you, People like, it's like when you're trying to find your first boyfriend or girlfriend, the more you push, the more they're going to walk away from you, right? It's like, there's something, you're pushing a bit too hard. There's something wrong with you. And so it's kind of like that with carnivore. It's important we're all talking about it, and just saying, all these good things happen. This is an option for you, so that when particular people get to the end of their rope and they're just like, you know what, I'm sick of going into the doctor and hearing the same story all the time. I'm sick of being reliant on that once every 3 months meeting with the doctor to say, have things improved at all? That kind of thing. When they get tired of doing that and they start looking around, they'll find that there potentially is another option for them, because we're still talking about it. We're still that drip of information,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it feels good, and we like to share something that is good and feels good, works out well.
Mm.
How do you feel about the how is it in Japan with, we all know this in the carnivore space. There's this whole Eat Lancet crap that came out, and they put, Nina Teicholz, Sean Baker, and Ken Berry, go figure, public enemies #1 in misinformation. How is it in Japan? How is it where you are? Do you get are you feeling that, or is it Japan is its own entity?
So there's a couple of things. I worry about Japan in the long term because, I mean, the Seventh-day Adventist Church is in here with their health organizations and stuff, which I didn't realize they were here until I spoke to Belinda Fettke last week. So yeah, there's a food processing company that makes like fake meats and all this kind of thing. But I think Japan is going to be kind of safe from all of this for a lot longer than Western countries, mainly because Japan's culture is so strong. And Japan quite easily rejects things that goes against the culture. So, plant-based meats, when they introduced them and they were at Moss Burger and McDonald's and all that kind of thing, when they started coming out, they lasted like 10 minutes. No one was buying them. It's like, what are we eating this for, So that kind of thing doesn't work in Japan, The same as no one's going to say to a Japanese person, "You're not eating any more rice."
Yeah, no.
They're also not going to, they're not going to say, "You're not eating any more fish. You're not eating any more red meat. You can have an ounce of red meat once a month." That's not going to work for a Japanese, but they're going to say, "Yeah, pull the other one."
Yeah.
So I think the culture is way too strong here.
Oh, that's good. I mean,
that's a good thing to hear.
I think like all these kind of WEF things and all UN things and all this kind of thing, I think, when they try and push them, I think it's often seen as, well, this is, Western influence trying to push like an agenda into Japan, and it's like there's way too much resistance. And I would imagine South Korea would be similar.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yes, it does seem almost like imperialistic influence.
Yeah.
I guess even the North Americans. I mean, how popular is Beyond Meat? Not that popular. I mean,
the share price is not doing so well these days.
No, it's not flying.
It's not exactly the Bitcoin of meats.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's nice that people are starting to see the light over here anyway. But yeah, it was just interesting to hear the take on Japan. And I know, like, I love the Japanese culture, although I've never been, but it's deep and arguably ancient, and they have their stuff. So that's neat to hear that take.
Yeah, and it's very easy to be a carnivore in Japan. It's not easy for a Japanese person to become a carnivore because, again, the culture is so strong. But it's easy to be a carnivore in Japan because there's meat-only restaurants everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. I'm catching up with a fellow carnivore from Australia and his family on Sunday, and we'll be going to a meat-only restaurant for lunch. They're just everywhere.
How long have you lived there, Dave?
Coming up on 20 years. In March 6th next year will be 20 years.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And did you go to Japan for work, or did you just, hey, I like that country?
For a change. So when I was 20, 21, 22, I was very lucky. I had a job that was sending me all around the world. And so I'd go and work in London for a year, come back to Australia, go and work in Hong Kong for a year, come back to Australia, LA, that kind of thing. And it was a good job, but after a while, I got a little bit tired of the traveling and not having anywhere stable and friend groups, no friend groups, all that kind of thing. So I quit and moved back to Australia permanently. And, that was great at first. But then you kind of get back into the routine after having such an exciting, glamorous life as a 21-year-old traveling the globe kind of thing. And I just thought, oh, this is a bit same old, traveling, commuting 2 hours a day, paying the mortgage, seeing the same people every day, nothing really changes. There's nothing really exciting happening, blah, blah, blah. And so I want to do some traveling again, and I want to change. And so what bigger change is there than Japan? So
the question is, Dave, do you speak Japanese?
Badly. I've become very fluent at pointing.
Oh my goodness.
So one of those, two of those. It's okay. I can't. My listening's better than my speaking. If I'm listening to a business discussion, I can probably follow 50% of what's going on. Unlikely I'm going to be able to respond appropriately in a business discussion, but in everyday things, I'm okay.
Nice. Well, that's good.
You
can order your steak and you can get your meat.
Oh yeah, and I can say, sorry about the emojis, and I can say kind of, well, I don't use it anymore, but importantly, before when I was a drinker, I could say, "Don't put any head on my beer" and all that kind of thing, But
oh, that's
I don't need to use that anymore. And the main reason I had to learn that is because if you get a pint of beer in Japan, half of it is bubbles.
Okay.
So yeah, which is
not good for an Australian.
Sacrilege in Australia, yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to Australia when I was 19, and even in Canada, we've got a little bit more of the bubbles, and they were like, "Get out of here, man!" Like, yeah,
you're trying to rip me off? What's going on? Yeah.
Was it easy for you to acclimatize to the business culture? Because I have a son who's been to Japan on business, and it's a whole different world from at least the American business culture.
I think it's impossible to actually properly acclimatize to the business environment here because it's so different. So I'll try and explain this as quickly as I can, but basically you've heard of Japan. It's got this kind of lifetime employment system, right? And that is changing, but basically that's one of the biggest problems or one of the biggest differences between a Western employment system and Japan, or the business system generally. Because what happens is you don't apply for a job, like a profession in Japan. You apply to a company in Japan. So the company takes in graduates once a year, right? And all those graduates are basically going to start off in sales with the company, right? And they might work in sales for 3 years, 5 years, something like that. And then they get rotated out. And then they'll go to HR or marketing or IT or something. And then they'll keep getting rotated every 2 or 3 years to a different part of the business, right? So there are no specialists in Japan. Everyone is a generalist, right? This works for the companies because if you've been with a company for 20 years and every 2 years you're in a different department, right? So you specialize in nothing.
Yeah.
And where are you going to go if you get jack of your company? You can't go anywhere, right? You're stuck in that company forever, right? So it's lifetime employment, but it's also kind of like lifetime prison. And so you can't go anywhere else. Plus, no other traditional Japanese company is going to employ someone who's like, 40 years old, mid-career, goes, I'm a specialist in blah blah blah. They're not gonna it would break the whole system to bring someone in to say the IT department, bring in an experienced programmer to the IT department and have them start work on a higher salary than everyone else because they've got experience, because everyone's like, but I've been at this company 20 years. How can he be earning more than me? Right. So that whole thing makes the entire way business works in Japan much different and much weirder relatively than in the West. So one of the best places to see Japanese employment in action is walking into a bank branch here. Like, I know in Australia, and I'm pretty sure it's probably the same in Canada and America. If you go into a bank branch, there's probably 2 or 3 staff, maybe a security guard. And if you and they're trying to push you to use internet banking or do everything from the ATM, right? In Japan, you walk into a bank branch and there's 20, 30 people in there. And a lot of these people are there just to take a piece of paper, stamp it, and then hand that piece of paper on to someone else. It's like
the production line of
It's kind of like stepping back into the early 1980s and walking into a bank branch in one of our countries.
Wow.
So it's just, so you never get used to it. And so basically, at the end of the day, I think the hardest thing for a Westerner to get used to in business in Japan is you never actually own anything that you work on. So often when you do a job, you get a sense of ownership of what you're working on. And even if you have tough times with it, there's a sense of pride when you finish the project or you contribute to the team effort or whatever it is, right? There's none of that in Japan. So you could be working on this project and your 2 years in this department is up and it's like, okay, buddy, you're off to HR now.
See you later.
Don't get attached to anything.
So, and because you never own anything, from a Western perspective, it's like, well, I don't feel like I'm contributing to this. So it's like there's this empty feeling,
Well, hopefully they find a reward some other way, if they can.
I mean, when you grow up in that system, it's very different to being transplanted into that system, right? So it's, I take a more critical view of it, of course, because it's the opposite to what I grew up with.
Yes, expectation level is different.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah,
That's fascinating.
We have to ask how are you eating these days? What's your amounts and timing? How many meals you have? How do you do things?
So it's pretty standard. Not much has changed. The main thing that's changed is I've gone off the ground beef, and that's mainly because it's difficult to get 100% ground beef in Japan. It's usually a mix of pork and beef, and it's not so great. So basically, I'll have maybe 6 eggs scrambled, and then that'll be topped with sliced beef. Right. You can get steaks in Japan, but unless you go to Costco or something, there's nothing in bulk, and so it's very expensive. So I just go for the standard kind of sliced beef that they sell, and the reason they sell it sliced is because they use chopsticks in Japan. So that's also, I guess, why steaks are not as popular, because it's not as picking up. It's like smoking a cigar, picking up a steak with chopsticks.
Very big knives, but no forks, right?
Yeah. So I would say that's about overall in a day, maybe a pound of beef and about 6 eggs. I'm trying to put a little bit of pork in there as well from time to time and just see how I go with that. But it's 1 meal a day, and usually in the morning because I feel best when I have breakfast, and it's more a habitual thing than anything. But if I feel hungry throughout the day, if I suddenly go, oh, I feel a bit peckish, I'll just eat. I'm not going to deny myself a second meal, like because I have to be fasting or whatever, And I feel like for a lot of people getting started on carnivore, one of the biggest mistakes they can make is saying, I'm going to start carnivore tomorrow and I'm going to go on 100% and I'm also going to do intermittent fasting at the same time. And it's like, forget the fasting. Let the fasting happen naturally. And like, you're already taking on a lot by ditching carbs. Don't make it even harder on yourself by going, I'm not going to eat for extended periods of time.
Yes.
Just eat until you're full and then don't eat again until you're hungry. And the fasting, if it does happen, it's going to happen naturally. It's like you're going to have one meal like lunch and you're going to get to the end of the day and go, you know what? I don't really feel like having dinner. I'm busy with whatever I'm doing. I'm just going to keep doing this. And then the next time you're hungry is 10 o'clock the next morning.
Yeah. I'm right with you. I'm intuitive now, but I do believe it's a process that everybody sort of goes through on their own time. But I hear you. I like that. I eat one meal and then that's usually what I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How's the quality of pork and eggs in Japan?
I'm kind of scared to find out. I mean, taste-wise, everything's okay, but I mean, I think it's not easy to get like free-range stuff and whatever, like pasture-raised stuff. And the Wagyu is typically grain-fed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's great, but I'm just doing the best I can.
No, that's because it's. I mean, you think about space and there's a lot of farms out in Japan. I don't know, but yeah, that's interesting.
Well, they're certainly famous for the quality of their beef and pork. I mean, there can't be ramen without what is it called? The pork soup, the ramen pork soup. Yeah.
Tonkotsu ramen. Yeah.
But it's all grain fed. It's not pasture raised.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I mean, those are some of the details. Like we all, I would say, are big proponents of eat to what you can afford, and what's available is a big thing. I mean, I think there's always an egg is good. Like let's not freak out about it's not from a farm. I think.
Yeah, I kind of also take don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. For sure.
Yeah.
Culturally, they're big on raw eggs, especially for breakfast and on top of entrees.
Yeah. And I tried my first raw egg a few years ago. I'd lived here for about 17 years before I had dared to try it.
Really?
It's pretty good. I had to mix it up because I don't like the texture of something like an egg yolk or an oyster or something that at the back of my throat. So I'm just like, I have to mix it up till it's as frothy and liquidy as possible to drink it. But it was okay.
Have you found that any tastes have changed in carnivore, even though that you're eating a pretty limited diet? But have you noticed that you're any changes since you've?
I think like my dislike of chicken. I think that's the biggest thing. I see chicken as like the water of meats.
Yeah, it's clever.
But when I actually think about it, I probably always really thought that. It's just that in the before times, chicken was a vehicle for stuff like sauces and all that kind of thing, right? So it doesn't feel like it doesn't taste like anything. It's only when it's not a vehicle for other things you go, oh, well,
Yeah.
this is just a vehicle for other things.
I think I found that way with turkey too. It's like when you're a carnivore and you're getting your first Christmas dinner and you're just eating turkey, I'm like, I want a steak. I don't,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
I'm contemplating a prime rib.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the thing for me about turkey is I prefer the taste of turkey to the taste of chicken. But the thing with turkey for me is I can't eat it without constantly drinking water because it's so dry. It feels like it's getting stuck in your throat, you know?
It depends on which part. The darker meat portions tend to be fattier, but yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
Well, I just remember turkey with a bunch of gravy and mashed potatoes, and that doesn't happen anymore. So it's like, yeah.
Right.
It will here on Thursday, so if you're in the neighborhood, my son is hosting a Thanksgiving traditional American.
Oh yes, it's American Thanksgiving. Yeah, we've already, Canada's already had that ours, so that's weird.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really a pleasure to talk to you. We know that you're on YouTube. Is there any other platform that you frequent these days?
Yeah, people can find me on YouTube at zero-carb, and on X at, I think it's real zero-carb. And where else? And I've got a Facebook group, but they click on any of my videos, links to the Facebook group and Twitter
we'll
are there.
pick them up from there. So we certainly want to list that and keep your profile high.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you both having me on. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been very exciting.
It was a pleasure to hear from your side of things, Dave. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Right then, yes, thank you. And if we're going to wrap up, Tony, we'll have to have you end the session because I lost my ability to run the recording.
Oh, okay. No worries.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Okay.